Hello everyone, I Dr. Ruchi Agarwal welcome you to web-based programming class. Today we will be discussing about control statements in PHP. So we will be discussing about if else, switch case, for, while, do while, for each loop. So in PHP, control structures are divided into two groups, conditional control structures and loop control structures. So far we have written programs that follow sequential structure, executing one statement after another using control structures. We can execute statement based on some conditions. So this helps a programmer to control the flow of program execution. So now we are going to discuss about both the control structures. One is conditional control structure and other is loop control structures in detail. So first, in conditional control structure, it affects the flow of the program and executes or skips certain code according to certain criteria. Like PHP lets programmer evaluate different conditions of a program and take decisions based on whether these conditions evaluate to true or false. These conditions and the actions associated with them are expressed by means of a programming construct called a conditional statement. PHP support different type of conditional statements. So we are going to discuss four conditional statement. First is if statement. In if statement, output will appear only when the condition must be true. So if construct is used when we need to decide which of the available path is to be taken based on a certain condition. If the condition that is checked is true, then a statement inside the if block will get executed. So what will be the syntax? If expression and then statement. So if the condition will be true, then only the statements will be executed. Next is we have if else statement. If else statement allows you to display output in both condition. If condition is true, display some message, otherwise display some other message. So if else statement provides secondary path of execution when if clause evaluates to false. So if the syntax will be if expression statements, else statement. So if your expression is false, then your else block will be executed. Next we have if else statement, nested if else block. So the if else statement lets you chain together multiple if else statement, thus allowing the programmer to define action for more than just two possible outcomes. So by using else if, you can combine several conditions. So the syntax will be if expression statement, else if expression statement, else if expression statement, and then lastly you will put else statement. So you can put multiple if else statements. Let's see one small example. So here, if you are assigning some number 11 in a variable num, you are dividing it by 2 and you are checking whether the remainder is 0 or not. If the remainder is 0, it will print number is odd number, else it will print number is even number. So likewise you can put multiple else if also depending on your requirement. We have fourth statement, switch case statement. Switch statement is similar to series of if statements on the same expression. So rather than putting multiple if else, you can straight away use switch statement. So switch case is very similar or alternative to if else commands. Switch command tests a condition. Outcome of that condition decides which case to execute. Switch is normally used when you are finding an exact result instead of greater than or less than result. So the syntax of switch is switch expression, then case value, statements, break, then case value, statements, break, default statements. So switch condition is examined and a value is found. The condition value is passed through cases. If the value matches a case value, the code in that block is executed. If the value does not match any of the case values, the default section is executed. Once a block of coding is finished, the break command is used to jump out of the switch case. So we use break here to break out, to come out of the loop. We'll see one example. We are assigning value to this variable I. Switch $I, case 0 echo $I equals 0, case 1 echo $I equals 1, case 2 $I equals 2, and default is $I not equal to 0, 1 or 2. So the output will be 5. $I is the value of I. I is 5. Switch 5. So it will check the matching case. But case 5 is not available. We have 0, 1, 2. So by default, it will go to the default case. It will print 5 is not equal to 0, 1 or 2. And it will exit. Now coming to loop control construct. So why we use loop? When you want the same block of code to run over and over again in a row, instead of adding several almost equal lines in a script, we can use loops to perform a task. When you want to execute same statement more than one times, then you use loop. So we are going to discuss about loops, 4 types of loop, one by one. Basically, why we use loop? Loop can be thought of as something that is wrapped around PHP code to make it happen again and again. Often when developing an application to execute the same block of code specific number of times, a loop statement is used in the code. So we have for loop, while loop, do while loop, and for each loop. So in for loop, specified condition is predefined. In while loop executes statement while a specific condition is true. In while loop, first check the condition, then execute the statement. Do while loop, execute the statement once, and next statements depends on the specified condition is true or not. In do while loop, first execute the statement, then check the condition. It means if condition is false, in that case, one time statement is executed. For each loop, execute the statement of an associative array. So first let's discuss about for loop. For loop is used when you know in advance how many times the script should run. So for loop is a repetition statement designed to be used when executing a block code a specific number of times. For loop is a special kind of loop covering the following tasks like set a counter variable to some initial value, check to see if the conditional statement is true, execute that whether the code specification held within the loop, increment a counter at the end of each iteration through the loop. So the syntax is for initialization, condition, increment, and then the code to be executed. So parameters of this loop is initialization. It is used to set a counter. It is the initial state of the variable to be tested. It is normally done as an assignment, although the assigned value can be from any source, literal or variable. Next is condition. If the condition is true, loop will continue. If the condition is false, loop will end. So this is the condition which has to be tested. Statement keep processing as long as it remains true. Then next is increment. Increment by which the variable being tested changes. Let's see one example. Here we want to print some statement 5 times. So what we are using for loop, for we are putting the initialization $1 equal to 1. So you are initializing I equal to 1. So I is the initialization counter variable. You are putting one condition, I is smaller than or equal to 5, and then the increment operator I plus plus. You can use the decrement operator as well. Increment or decrement operator. So echo, the number is $I. So first it will print the number is 1. Then again it will go to the loop. It will check the condition. The condition is true. It will again print number is 2. It will repeat this 5 times. And once the value of I will be more than 5, it will exit the for loop. So the for loop works by first initializing a control variable, then performs a conditional test. If the test returns true, the code block is executed. After the code executes, the variable initialized is incremented, the condition is re-evaluated, and then the main code is executed again. This goes on until the control variable holds a value equal to number of times of the loop must run. Then the loop is exit. So here in this case, we will execute the loop 5 times. And as soon as the condition will become false, it will come out of the for loop. One more example, let's see. If you want to print all the even numbers from 2 to 100. So you are initializing I is equal to 2, putting one condition I is less than equal to 100. I is equal to plus equal to. So you are incrementing by 2. So first the value 2 will be printed, then next 2 plus 2, 4. It will check the condition 4 is less than equal to 100. It will print 4 and so on. So it is incrementing by 2. If you want to find the sum of 1 to 100, so that also can be done. You are first initializing variable sum equal to 0. Then in the for loop, you are using the counter variable. In this counter variable, you are putting some condition. I is less than equal to 100 and I plus plus. So you are putting sum is equal to sum plus I, dollar sum plus dollar I. So 0, first time 0 plus I, what value of I is 1. 0 plus 1, 1. So it is assigning to, you are assigning to some variable. So sum is 1. Now again it will go to the loop. It will check. It will check again. The condition is true. It will again sum up. So likewise it will sum all the 100 values from I to 100. One more program, if you want to print the name 10 times or 5 times, it depends. So you are putting the condition echo my name and it will print the number of times that you have mentioned, 5 or 10, whatever. Coming to while loop execute a block of code while a condition is true. So while loop is quite easy to use. So while loop will, as the name suggests, it execute a piece of code while a condition certain condition is met. The function of while loop is to do a task over and over as long as the specified conditional statement is true. The logical check, that is the condition, is the same as one that appears in PHP. If a statement to determine if it is true or false. So the syntax is while condition and then code to be executed. So if the condition is true, then the code will be executed, else it will exit the loop. Let's see one example. You are initializing I equal to 1. In the while loop, you are putting the condition $I less than equal to 5. Echo number is I, $I. So you are printing the number is 1. Then you are again incrementing. The same thing that we have done in for loop, now we are doing with the help of while loop. Number is 2, 3 and so on. When this condition is false, when the value of I will become 6, it will exit the loop. Coming to do while loop. So do while loop execute the statement once and then check the condition. So do while loop to some extent is a modified version of the while loop. In case of while loop, conditional statement is first checked, and if it is evaluated to true, then the code within that loop will be executed. If the conditional statement is false, then the code within the loop will not be executed. While in case of do while loop, it is just like the while statement in the reverse order. First, it will run the block of code and then evaluates the conditional expression. If the conditional expression is true, then it will loop back to the beginning of the statement and start again. So the syntax is do code to be executed while condition. Let's see one example of do while loop. You are initializing I variable to 1. Do echo the number is $1, $I, and then I plus plus. And then you are putting this condition while $I is less than equal to 5. So first it will print I, that is 1. Then you are checking whether the condition is true or not. If the condition is true, then it will again go to the beginning of the loop. It will print 2 and then it will again increment the value of I and then will check the condition. So even if the condition is false for the first time, once this number will be printed, 1 will be printed. So there's a difference between do while and while. While first the condition will be checked, and in do while first the statement will be executed, then the condition will be checked. Now coming to for each loop. In for each loop, we use it to display the value of an array. You can define two parameters inside for each loop separated through as keyword. For each loop allows iterating over each element of an array. For each loop provides an easy way to iterate through arrays. For each works only on arrays and will throw an error when used on a variable with different data type or an uninitialized variable. So we have to define two parameters separated through as keyword. First parameter must be existing array name, which elements or the key you want to display. At the position of second parameter, you could define two variables, one for the key index and another for value. If you define only one variable at the position of the second parameter, it contains array value. By default, display array value. Syntax is for each $array as $value and the code to be executed. Let's see one example. For each loop iteration, the value of the current array element is assigned to $value and the array pointer is moved by 1. So on the next loop iteration, you will be looking at the next array value. The following example demonstrates a loop that will print the value of the given array. So here one variable Pearson array, you are putting three values Alex, Simon and Ravi. For each $Pearson as $val, echo $val. So here in this example, you are declaring array variable $Pearson. It holds the elements of the array. Here we want to print all the elements of an array without passing index value. We use for each loop. Passing variable name $Pearson as $val. It means $val collect all elements of an array. Pass $variable with echo statement. It will show an element as the output. So first it will print Alex, then Simon, and then Ravi. This is how for each loop works. Thank you. Have a good day.